So she's a Christian leader and is happily married with children. So you're welcome to Bunmi Adedayo Foundation's Insta Live session, Mr. Adekobe. You want to say hello to the viewers?
Yes, thank you for having me, Mr. Femi Martins, and it's a great pleasure to be in live with Bunmi Adedayo Foundation. This is wonderful, and I appreciate you for what you are doing. Thank you all, everybody that is here. God bless you.
Thank you very much, ma'am. Quickly, we have a lot to talk about tonight. We're looking at the preparedness of educators, of teachers for virtual teaching. But before we go into that, I know that you are, amongst all that you do, you are a member of the BAF faculty, and that's one of the reasons we had to bring you on tonight to come and talk to us about the things that you do. Before we go into the depth of tonight's conversation, can you quickly tell us about the Bring Back Primary 6 movement? Quickly, what is that about, and what do you do with that initiative?
Thank you so much. Thank you for having me once again. Bring Back Primary 6 movement is a movement that is an advocacy group that is so concerned and passionate about our children finishing, their primary education. What we have found out over the years has been that a lot of parents and schools, have connived, conspire against complete education, and they take up our children from primary 4, from some of them even from primary 3. They say they are so brilliant, and they take them off and deprive them the right they have. It is not a privilege. The right for complete education, because the national policy on education specify that an average Nigerian child should do 9 basic years before anything, and that 9 basic year talks about 6 years in the primary and 3 years, in the junior secondary school. So Bring Back Primary 6, having seen a lot of these things happening, so we came together, a group of passionate educators. So we can just stop it, and so we came up together, and we have been on. We've had a lot of meetings. We have groups, and we have written letters to the Commissioner of Education of Lagos State and some other states, even at the federal level. So, and we have been working on this. And what we are saying is that it is not something new. It is what is statutory. It is statutory. Okay. It is in the policy. It is not that come and do something that is out of this world. We are not saying do something new, but just, effect. Let there be enforcement. Let there be absolute compliance to what the national policy of education says. Because a lot of people will come and tell us, because there is a strike and the children get to, and they are going to be lacking behind from what I said all over the world. It's only in our nation, Nigeria, that we hurry up our children. They allow them to go through the process. And when we bring these children in, after they are done in their different countries, they come in here matured. And we expect our own children to be able to. Now listen, our children are intelligent, they are smart. But it's beyond being smart.
Sorry to cut you. Do you think that checking them, because there's a place of intelligence, being smart and what have you, do you think that allowing children to go from maybe primary 4 or 5 into secondary school has a significant impact? If you think so, can you give like 2 effects of early transition from primary school into secondary school?
One, psychological.
Before we go into other things.
The children are not psychologically ready. They are not mature. The children are not matured, and a lot of these children end up being products and victims of bullies and harassment. So they are not matured psychologically. They are not mature to comprehend and be able to handle a lot of issues. They cannot even handle a lot of things around them. A lot of them go to the boarding house, and parents need to buy over and over a lot of the items there because they can't keep them. They can't manage them. And with this, they are not psychologically ready, and they cannot undo a lot of the things that we bring before them. And also, these children when they are bullied, they can't undo, and they quickly submit to bullies and harassment. But some people will say some children are not like, Okay.
So that means that there is an emotional gap when you allow your child to transit early into secondary school.
Absolutely.
Let me support it with my own story, then we'll go into the main discourse for tonight. I remember that I transited to secondary school at the age of 4, at the age of from primary 4. So I didn't do primary 5, I did primary 6, and lo and behold, so this is to allude to your emotional gap that actually takes place. Lo and behold, I was sent to the boarding school, and within two terms, a session has 3 terms. So within 2 terms, I had misplaced my bag and all of my textbooks twice, within 2 terms. And at the end of the second term, my mom was called, and then they told my parents that, see, if you really want this child to go far, take him back home and let him enjoy some time with you. He's not yet ripe for secondary school. So I totally agree with what you do, and we expect that this is going to yield a lot of results, and parents will be patient, with transiting their children to secondary school. I must say that you're doing a great work. Let's quickly look at today's topic. So it is a known fact that education has been greatly affected by the COVID-19 pandemic. We also know that the government, corporate organizations, social sector organizations, NGOs, and what have you, school owners, and I've even seen individual teachers who are making great efforts, at ensuring that the number of out-of-school children, which has significantly gone up, due to COVID-19, begins to drop. Practically all children in the world became out-of-school children, when COVID-19 set in. And we know that efforts is being made and a lot of things are being done to get them back. In your own opinion, how prepared do you think we are for virtual? Of course, we also see that virtual teaching and learning is now the way forward because schools remain shut. And recently, even when Nigeria wanted to, resume, take WAEC and what have you, you saw the division in the house when the Minister for Education came to say at some point that we're no longer resuming and so on. So schools are now beginning to gear up to resume back virtually. So a lot of schools are currently running third term, right? We don't know if that is correct or not. We have some that are already canvassing and recruiting, conducting common entrance examinations into their schools, entrance examinations and so on. So how prepared do you think we are for the new normal that is called virtual teaching?
Well, honestly speaking, we never knew it would happen. So we were not prepared. But now that it happened and in March, and suddenly, and a lot of schools too, when it happened in March that this hospital had to be locked down, we were all thrown off balance. Just before March, 28th of February precisely, we had a program. Our outfit had a program. That's the Florish-Gate concert. We had a program, we call it the School Executives, and we said the future of education. And we were particularly talking about technology being the voice, being the language of education. But suddenly, by the first week in March, all schools were all locked down. The whole world was locked down. And some countries that were already utilizing ICT, that are already online, were able to do their transition. They were able to transition immediately. But for Nigeria, it took us time. It was little bit, some schools, some private schools who were able, to okay, let's see how it goes. Some were able to do a pilot system, but the larger part of the Nigerian education state, I think there is a bit of noise. I don't know where
noise from my background, but I don't know where. I can hear you clearly.
Okay, good.
I can hear you clearly.
So a lot of our schools were thrown off balance. Only few private schools were able to immediately start. And so, but over time, all other schools, started looking for ways to be able to blend and be able to adopt. And then the state government too, the federal government too, came up with a lot of radio TV programs to be able to engage the children. But
Okay.
to talk about preparedness before now, we were not prepared. But I think now we are trying to do what we are
We're
trying to
beginning.
do what we
So
can.
okay, so prior to this time, prior to COVID-19, you would say that our preparedness can be said to be like a 20%, 30%. You know, I know I run the risk of applying numbers.
No. Even for me, I wouldn't even say 20%. I would say 10%.
Wow. So that's
10%.
like 1 out of 5 on the scale of 1 to 5. That's
we were not ready. We were not ready.
4.5. Okay. But you've seen that a lot of efforts has been put into ramping up schools. I know that the government is currently training teachers in the use of technology. That I know about Lagos State government. I've seen a lot of private schools, you know, carry out online teaching for pupils, just for them to be engaged, right? But I know also that this is just a fraction of the number of teachers, educators, right, that are not currently being engaged. I spoke with the leader of some of these low-cost schools, right, and they lamented bitterly about how the only way forward is for schools to resume. And I'm a bit concerned that, okay, so if schools do not resume, does that mean that the thousands or millions of children that are under your various schools, member schools, would not access education? So I want us to talk about how. We've talked about the facts, right? And part of the fact is that there are some teachers, there are some schools, let me say some systems that are currently practicing virtual teaching, right? But the majority of educators at this time seem not to have understood what is required. Can you, in a few minutes, you know, highlight some of the things that we need to look at in preparing for the new normal? And for the sake of our listeners, new normal for us now is the introduction of virtual learning. In other words, blended learning, isn't it? Because you can't even do everything online. There has to be some. So can you just describe the framework that you think is required at this time for education to be salvaged and for teachers, educators to thrive in this virtual learning phase that we have?
Thank you once again. I think basics, one of the first things we need to get to do is our teachers must change their mindset. Teachers must change their mindset. They must be ready to embrace change. Change is not something we can fight. When it comes, we just need to work around it. So we need to begin to, you know, change our mindset that I cannot work. No, that's not possible. If it is not physical, yes, we are not saying that online schools or virtual schools will replace physical school, but you must get to know that it must work hand in hand. The two must work side by side. For us in this level that we are in, must work side by side. And so teachers' mindset must change, and teachers must be ready to be trained. They must seek training, and there are a lot of free trainings everywhere. Free trainings are everywhere, so they must seek to be trained, and then they must also invest in two devices. They must invest in the two they need. There is a basics of the smallest Android. You know, yes, it's money, but this is the tool. This is the tool that you need. If you don't have that Android, you can't be able to do what you expected to do. So you need, you know, the mindset shift, training, and getting the device, and then the schools also on their own part also get materials ready for the school. I mean, for the teachers and then for the children. There are a lot of children, a lot of parents who don't even have devices. But that doesn't mean they should not be educated. So many ways we can adopt. There can be worksheets sent home. A lot of their textbooks were in school. A lot of the textbooks were in school. They didn't go home because it happened suddenly. They couldn't even pack. And at the time that there is easing of lockdown, I think school owners should find time to go to school, invite a teacher per class, and ask them to organize the books of these children. you know, and send it to the children. Call their parents. They should have the number of their parents. Call them to come in. And so with that, they can follow up, even with the smallest phone that parents have. With the smallest Palasa phone, you can put a call through and say, how are you, ma? Yes, ma. The English book, open to page so number so, and then you can follow up on that. So teachers must be willing and ready to assist the parents, because parents will tell you that it cannot work, because that was where the teachers were before. Teachers thought it cannot work, but now they now know that it works, because some schools have done their third term online, and they have also done graduation online. They have graduated online graduation. They have done virtual graduation online. And so even these schools have done third term online, they have written exams online, they have done graduation online, and they are now in their summer break. So I mean, and someone is saying,
what's the excuse that others now want to make? What's the excuse?
We don't have excuse, because even outside this show, in Uganda, in Kenya, and the rest of the other countries, they are online. No, but we are not saying that all the children are being carried along. You know, the rate at which they should be carried along, but it has started, and because it has started, and then we can begin to see how we embrace other children who are not part of it. Like Lagos State, thank God for Lagos State. Lagos is making a lot of effort getting devices. Ogun State is also trying. Oyo State is also Ondo State. You know, some of these Western states are also trying, and I guess also some of the Eastern states are also doing. And then the federal government is also online. I mean, they are on radio and TV. You know, so teachers cannot. And who will do this is the teachers. The federal government schools and the state schools would go and get a private school teacher to come and do it. I watched the Lagos State program on TV. They use the teachers in the public school. So if the teachers in the public school are now doing it, it shows that all the other teachers can do it.
Can do it. Thank you very much. Wow. Wow. Let me cut you a bit there, then we'll come back to it. Our viewers now understand. I want to believe that a lot of us already know that before we reverse back to the normal, it's going to be very, very long. I was discussing with someone recently who said the impact of COVID-19 will be felt for another minimum of 2 years. That even the physical relationship, right, the physical distance and what have you, will take another 6 months before we can even think of, we are safe to, you know, socially interact or physically interact. All right, so there is no quick going away of this. So the earlier educators come to these terms to agree that let us embrace change, the better. And I can see the comments of so many of our viewers that mindset. Yes, mindset, it begins from the mind. If you cannot see change happen in your mind, then it will not happen physically. So secondly, if, like Mr. Dekogbe has said, if the public schools, you know, are doing this, then what excuse do we have at the private level, you know, for not making a move? So this is a call to a lot of us to begin to reconsider. And I want to go back to the point that you made, the second point that you made, which is training. One thing that will change mindset is the level of knowledge you expose yourself to. So training is a very important thing. And I don't think there is, or is there anything that somebody cannot learn? Is there a level you get that you can't learn something? So we understand that before now you've not been doing these things, but now the requirement for moving forward is to embrace change in your approach to teaching. And it is very important that we talk about training in a bit. But before we go to talk about training, I saw a comment by I'm trying to scroll down to the comment, that some schools send PDF documents, you know, to their students, and they call that online. That's Olubanjo. Online teaching, as defined by many schools, is merely sending PDF text to students online to study. I think that is not sufficient. Or what do you think, Ma?
Yes, that is distance learning. Distance learning.
Not blended learning.
It's not the blended, it's not the physical and the online. The online that is purely, using platforms, using, the devices, that is purely the online. And then the one like we are doing, we are virtually communicating as it is, and then the other attendees are people who are commenting, they are getting to see us interact, you understand? But they are not live as we are live, you understand? But they see us interacting. So for schools that send in PDF, for schools that send in worksheets, they are doing distance learning. It's still acceptable.
Okay.
Because what they are doing is trying every means possible to ensure that the children are continuously being engaged productively by whatever means. Probably because the parents of those students don't have the devices for them to be able to do the online session, or the parents have to go to work and they have to go with their devices, and the children must also continuously be engaged. So sending some materials home is great, but it is not the online.
Sufficient.
It is distance
learning. Okay. So and what the new normal requires is a form of blended, such that there is the voice interaction, whether it is recorded or it's a live session. There has to be a voice interaction that will guide them through the materials that have been sent in. Okay, thank you. Now we conducted a survey, and we realized that from that survey, I'm trying to pull up the document. From that survey, we realized that about 40%, of the respondents, they're all teachers, said that they do not have the required skill. And this was a survey conducted by BAF, among some of its beneficiary schools. About 40% of them gave the excuse of not having enough digital skills, right? How do you think this can be resolved? I actually have an idea of that answer, but I wanted to talk about it first. When it comes to technological gaps amongst teachers, what do you think we can do?
Yes, for technological, it's basically trainings. It is basically trainings, and like I said earlier, a lot of trainings are going on. BAF, have the session of training coming up, which Mr. Mattis will be talking about. And my outfit has also been in a lot of training, and a lot of other individuals are also out. I can tell you every day there's a training going on, teaching people, and that's even far. Do you know that if you go to YouTube, there is nothing you need to learn about any platform or device that you cannot learn on YouTube. You want to learn how to use Edmodo, you want to learn how to use your WhatsApp, you want to learn, they will tell you step by step how to make use of it. And every day you keep learning. We never knew we were coming to, what did we get to know before about technology? We knew we had to use PowerPoint, we knew we had to use a projector, we knew we had to use interactive board, a lot of those things are what we have been using. Very few schools have, even some schools that have management, learning management, they have hub, they have management hub in their school.
Learning management systems.
They have the learning management system in the management hub, but they never used it until this crisis came.
That's correct.
What they were doing was just using that one to send bills, to check bills, tell parents you have not paid, send information until we got it. That was it. So we all came in wobbling. We all came in wobbling. How did we get here? But it was just because there was open mind. How did I also get here? I had an open mind. I was ready to learn, and I'm still ready to learn, and I'm still learning as it is. My children are my great tech crew. They get to, when I get to a point and we're talking about something, say, Mommy, we can use this. Oh, Google. Oh, yes, Google me on this and this. And I'm ready to listen to them. And I call them. When I get, anytime I'm going anywhere, I get to a point and I have any issue, I call their attention. We have a lot of people in our homes that can help us. A lot of our children are also tech savvy. They know what to do on our phones and all. So teachers, use your children. Allow them to handle your phone and tell you what to do. Yes, they will teach you. then talk to a colleague, talk to a friend of yours.
Network.
Network. Seek help. Seek help. Call anybody that you know. Call me. Call anybody. I know if I don't know it, I know somebody that I will call that will teach you. You know, so we have no excuse at all.
No excuse. And I like what one of our Edu advisors that is also on this session, Mrs. Ayokpeju, and she said, University of YouTube, right? University of YouTube. So I think curiosity is what is very key here. You must be hungry for knowledge. You must be willing to get out of your comfort zone and seek for the kind of knowledge you want. And I like what the safety chief said, that's true. There is a lot of training. The onus is on educators to pick relevant ones and learn. So again, there is the challenge of you being inundated with so many things, so many training notifications, Zoom meeting here, you know, Microsoft Team meeting there. You need to sit down first as an educator and assess yourself. What skills do I need in a time like this? What skills do I have and what don't I have? So you need to do that self-assessment to know what skills you now need to acquire. Then the next thing is for you to look for, where do I go to acquire these skills, right? Yes, there are so many free trainings out there. So this is where your scale of preference then comes in, right? You want to know where you can go to. And again, let me use this opportunity to quickly promote some of what BAF is doing right now, because we are predominantly a training organization. When we started out in 2016, we did a lot of school renovation, provision of infrastructure and what have you. But we then realized that if we have a beautiful building, we have a standard building, and the teachers in the building do not measure to expectation, whatever they do there will still lead to zero. So buildings alone do not make great schools. Teachers are the most important factor when you're considering learning outcomes in children. And the second most important factors are the school leaders. So that's why BAF has focused a lot on building the capacity of teachers. And you know why we think it's more sustainable? If we invest in maybe teaching children, which we also tried at some point, you know, you go in and groom some primary 6 pupils, they learn and they get better, and then they move out of the school. You come back again to groom another set. But if you invest in the teacher will then get better, and every set of pupils that pass through them every year in, year out, you know, will receive quality education. So that's why the foundation has focused more on training teachers. And one thing we're doing at this time and during this pandemic is to equip educators. Before now, we focused only on public school teachers because we believe that that's where the real need, you know, lies. But we've then come to the realization that you have loads of teachers that need training support. And the good thing about the BAF program is that we don't just train you, there is always that follow-up. We know that it's always difficult to change. So we train you, then we follow up to ensure that you're doing what you need to do. At the end of this session, I will tell you a series of free trainings that we have coming up from this week, right? But before we talk about these trainings, Mr. Adekogbe, you are a BAF faculty member. And I want you to talk about quickly your experience, right? Your experience in engaging teachers. You are on a number of our projects. You are on the CHPPST, the Continuous In-Service Training. You are a part of the School Mentors program, right? So where we mentor school leaders. I want you to talk about some of the things that you found out, and the positive ones as well, not just negative, the positive ones that show that things are happening and lives are being touched. Thank you.
Thank you once again. Yeah, for the training, we started off with a baseline assessment, and that was serious. That was really, really serious. There were a lot of gaps, and there were also very outstanding performances. There were also, so you know, the thing, like, I think it's more of an individual and a mindset. Like I said, there are some of those teachers in those places that are stars, that are doing well, and there are some that they still need you to push them. They still get you to, like, they didn't tell us, what are we? And then you find some with an open hand. They are willing and ready to accept. Well, as soon as you come in, they're willing, they want to get you. Okay, what do you want? Oh, this is where we are. And then there are some are like, what do they really want to come and do? What is this one coming to do again? You know, that kind of attitude. But, you know, after a session with them, they come to realize that life is about collaboration. Life is about learning. And you stop learning when you are dead. As a matter of fact, there are a lot of dead people alive. Why are they? Because they don't want to learn any longer. They stop learning. And even if you are alive and you stop learning, you are dead. You know, so for you to be alive, you must continuously be ready to learn. You know, some older people, younger people, they're willing. And then for the leaders, you know, I saw a mindset of people who also want to accept new things. But of course, there was a little resistance. And each time after training, we have to go and observe again to see if there has been some kind of changes or improvement. And to some, we have found that, you know, after the training, they are actually making use of the content gained from training, you know, in the classes. And they will find that they are progressive in their development. But some are also like, nothing new, you know, what is there? This is what we have been doing, you know. So that, you know, so it's always been the attitude. But I must say, on the brighter side, I have a number of them in the zone that I work are receptive, and they're ready to, you know, they're ready for change. And then it starts from the edge. If the head welcomes your program, the subordinate will. If the head does not welcome your program, they are going to have a serious resistance. You know, so the resistance always coming from the head. You know, so but what we got to do is, there's been a lot of skill improvement. You know, the schools, the teachers, I mean, they are better. As a matter of fact, if I have to make mention of the fact that BAF started with some schools, because we were giving some session of schools, and by the time Lagos State started the training, there were a number of teachers and number of them said BAF gave us a good foundation for what the state government had to do. We had a very good foundation from what BAF has done. And so when Lagos State started with their training, it was easier for us because we were already prepared. Compared to schools that were not in BAF, you know, they were not part of the BAF schools. They were more prepared. They were not, you know, they were more prepared. And I got back. We got back to observe before the COVID-19, and with the Lagos State online Eco-Excel, brilliantly. The BAF teachers were superstar. You know, the level of blending. They even will tell you, Ma, this is what BAF does. This is what Eco-Excel does. But for us, we try to see how we can, because we know that BAF has given foundation. Although Eco-Excel does not contain this, but we know we have been looking for a way to blend, because we know that what BAF has taught us is right to help the children. And so it was, you know, if we have those set of teachers, if you have to send them and then, you know, spread them over the other teachers, they will make impact, because already, you know, they have absorbed and have welcomed the change, and they are running with the change. As a matter of fact, I tell you, in this lockdown, some of those schools are online. Some of those. Please
tell us one. I was going to ask you about that. That's from the public school that you've worked with. Who do you have as an example of people working in this time?
Ikota Nursery and Primary School. Nursery and Primary School. As a matter of fact, she added me to that group, and I see what they do every day. They send work, they do, and the children get to do the classwork and assignment and send it back, and it is marked, corrections are made. Barracks,
Wow.
Jordan Barracks are also into it, but they just told me, gave me an update, but I'm not in the group. You understand? Then also St. George's boys and girls,
Yeah.
they are
Boys and
also
girls.
on it. Also, they are also on it, but I'm not in
And
their group. But you
these
know,
are
so
schools. These are schools under the school leadership program of BAF, the one that you are a mentor on. Okay,
yes,
okay,
yes,
okay, okay.
this are schools on that, because when we got to talk, you know, these are part of the thing. And listen, it is wrong, and it is very, very wrong and dangerous to allow the children to stay off learning. Everything that you want to do, that you can do, ensure that you engage in it. And they were like, okay, we keep doing what we can. Let's start. The math teacher will teach, and we work some, and we send it, you know. I mean, brilliant. This is happening in public school.
Okay.
And like I said, if it's happening in public school, the low cost schools, they are almost at the same level with public school.
Exactly.
The low cost, they are almost at the same level with public school. And so
Public
if it
school.
can happen, yes. So if it can happen, then it shows, because somebody said an average parent, some of these parents have small Android phones. They do WhatsApp. They do their HLB, and they send photographs of their HLBs and parties on WhatsApp.
And they put it on Facebook.
And they put it on Facebook. So why not? Let's use that same. Somebody say, it's a lot of expenses. They don't have money. Somebody said they don't have money, but they WhatsApp and they do messages and they do Facebook.
Exactly.
The same amount of money that they use to do the Facebook and WhatsApp is just a little portion of it is what we need for school.
Awesome. So there is a lot of advocacy also, and awareness needs to happen, that you don't need a lot of money, right, to be able to promote learning. In the following weeks to today's pilot episode of Insta Live Sessions, we're going to be featuring individuals who are making a difference. We call them distance learning heroes, right? These are people that are going against all odds. They are leaving their comfort zone to ensure that children access learning, right? And I'm glad that you just shared some of the feedback from some of the schools that you work with. So it's not like it's just private schools, because we'll be bringing on some private schools, teachers or school owners. We're going to be bringing on people from public schools, right, to come and tell us how they are achieving these learning goals, right? Because a lot of us need to learn from each other. You don't need to have one brilliant idea. It's not compulsory to manufacture your own idea. Just look for who is doing something that is working, and then collaborate, learn from that, leverage on it, and you can even do it better. Who knows? So thank you for that hype. Let me call it hype. Thank you for letting the world, see the impact of the work that BAF is doing or has done, prior to even some other interventions of government. And I'd like to say this at this point, that you see, there is no knowledge that is lost. And this goes to the teachers. I tell teachers when I come in contact with them, that when we train you, or when you attend a training, you are first and foremost the beneficiary of that training. You are the one that becomes a better person. The truth is this: you can attend the training and decide out of your own maybe wickedness, or you just feel like, I don't want to teach these children something good. But you know the truth, and you have learned, you have become a better person, by attending trainings. And again, I like to tell teachers that you don't need to struggle alone. I've been seeing people post collaboration. That is the way forward. We must collaborate. And another point is, you must see beyond the immediate. During this pandemic, let me tell you, a lot of private school teachers are out of job. At the same time, I've seen a lot of private school teachers who have innovated. I know a teacher that runs a Zoom class for pupils, and they are making extra income. I know another teacher that organizes community lessons, right? And they say they divided them into batches, that batch A, batch B, batch C, right? Because of physical and social distancing. So if you don't have the content in times like this, you cannot thrive. as a teacher. And there are some that have already told themselves that we cannot learn. We are older than learning. My message to you is that you need to reconsider that position. In a few minutes that we have left, let me tell our viewers quickly that tomorrow, Wednesday, we are bringing on an educator. She runs a preparatory school. And of course, they are one of the worst hit subsectors of education because they have babies. They have below 5-year-olds. And we'll bring that on tomorrow to see how they have been making learning accessible for children, right? And all of this, today's session, tomorrow's session, is the build up to a 7-week webinar series. It's 7 weeks. We are going to take educators, 1,000 educators, from where they are to where they should be, right? In order to prepare them for this new normal. Let me quickly read out some of the thematic areas that this series of webinar will be touching on. We are going to be addressing technology for teaching and learning assessments. We know that it is difficult at this time for a lot of schools to, yes, you can deliver your learning, your teachings online, but some of these lessons may not be assessed. I got a complaint from a parent about third term that, like, so you are teaching us third term content. How do you effectively assess us? And I'm a testimony. I'm a parent myself, and I know how difficult it was for my 6-year-old to meet up with the assessments, right, online. And I have a 3-year-old plus who never sits still at the computer. You just put her there and then she will walk away, right? So you want to learn how to address such learning, especially because third time is on us and the new session is on us. We may not resume physically and we have to go to school. We also have advanced teaching methodology. We have subject-specific pedagogy that we're going to be addressing. You're an English teacher, you want to learn how to teach certain topics well. We're going to be addressing this. Leadership and school administration. Mrs. Adedayo hit the nail on the neck where she said you have to start from the top. If the leader does not accept what you want, it is difficult to implement it amongst the teachers. So leadership also needs a mindset. If the leader says we cannot do online teaching, we cannot do it. No matter how good the teacher is, right? Even if the teacher knows how to use all the technology, you go and do it on your own. You will not do it as a school. So leadership and school administration, there's a thematic focus on that. Career etiquettes and development tips. As a teacher, I keep telling teachers that you are more than who you think you are. You need to boost your self-ego, your self-respect. We're going to look at how teachers, can develop themselves better. And of course, curriculum planning and development. We're going to look at this as well. So it's a 7-week webinar. Within 7 weeks, we are going to have 14 facilitators. So if you know that you are hungry for knowledge, please begin to, in fact, John, please post the link to where they can register. Bunmi Adedayo Foundation.org/web series. Bunmi Adedayo Foundation.org/web series. You can check our website. You can check the Instagram page. Go and read. We have 500 teachers that have already registered, but we still have, that's just 50% of the target number that we're looking for. So please, it is important that you spread this word. Let's see how we can get educators, bring them up to standard, and let's get more children into the education mood right now. Mrs. Adedayo, back to you. You are taking, I think you're taking 2 sessions, right?
Yes.
In the webinar series. Okay, yes. So let me whet our people's appetite. I know you have a topic here that says designing the 21st century. No, let me leave that for you to say. Career pathway. Yes. So, what should people be looking forward to, right, during this webinar series from you as a facilitator?
Yes, I tell you, this topic is going to blow your mind and open you up to a new world, and to let you know that you can do it. As a matter of fact, the skill that you have now, improve on it, you can monetize it. It shows that you can, wherever you are, is a good plan for you to, man, listen, you're in education, you're a teacher, there's good. But that becomes your foundation. It becomes your platform, become your leveraging, and then you now begin to build on it. There are so many things that you can, but you need to look inward, look into yourself, and see what you are capable of doing, and be able to bring the inner you out, so that you can actually fulfill the purpose of which you are who you are. So join me as we go through that route, and then go through that route, and then be able to go in and out, flesh it out. And then you'll be able to find yourself and see that something good is actually right inside of you. But you need to explore it. You need to be ready to bring it out, so that when you do, you are now able, to be so accomplished and be a very proud teacher. When I mean a proud teacher, I don't mean being proud like that, as in somebody who is proud of the teaching profession. And you can say boldly, I am a teacher, and I'm proud to be a teacher. Because you are supporting yourself. And then you are able to explore all other gifts and talent that you have, and then leveraging on technology and the 21st century. Join me.
Awesome. So career pathways for educators. Somebody just joined now. iRank Curriculum. That's one of our consultants, Mr. Ake Alamu. Thanks for joining. We're excited to have you, but you came in a bit late. All right, so let me also chip in this good news. And just this evening, we received the confirmation of the Commissioner for Education. She's going to deliver the opening keynote. For each of these sessions, yes, I think we should clap, yes. For each of these sessions, we're going to have 2 facilitators taking different topics. But before we go into the main topic of the day, we're going to have keynote speakers who will take us through a very critical conversation for about 15 minutes. So when your educators, as a teacher, as a school owner, you need to get your teachers to sign up so that you can reduce the burden of teaching on yourself. So if they go there to go and, if they come and attend free trainings, then you only do follow-up, right? So you don't stress yourself taking on the burden of training your teachers all by yourself. So on Thursday, that's this Thursday, 30th of July, we're going to have the first session, with an opening by the Honorable Commissioner for Education, Mrs. Florish-Gate Adefisayo, who, by the way, has been doing a lot of innovative stuff. I like the fact that she came from the private sector and she's leveraging on our network powerfully. She's leveraging on it and she's getting things done. So we are very happy to be associated with her, and we're going to have her on the session. So please, if you have not registered, or schools, teachers that need to brace up, that need to skill up in this time, I want you to please go to our page at Bunmi Adedayo Foundation and just tag them on the post so that they can come and read it. We're just about 3 minutes to the end of this program, and I want to put Ms. Adekobe on the spot right now. I'm going to put her on the spot and ask her a very important question. So, Mrs. Adekobe, we are faced with a very unclear path for education in the next few months. We know that blended learning is the way, right? Tell me, do you think, and this will be a parting shot anyway, do you think that we can achieve the full objective for our academic learning with blended learning? Or do you think the classroom is still the final way forward? What are your thoughts, ma'am?
Yes, I am a strong believer in the fact that blended learning will scale. Blended learning is it for us. Because even when schools resume, now listen, for now it has not. Even when schools finally resume, when we are back in brick and mortar, these children won't be spending the longer hours they used to spend in school any longer the way they used to be. They may not be doing more than 4 to 5 hours in school. There may be staggered resumption, there may be staggered days, staggered hours, staggered everything will stagger. And when all of those things happen, extension of learning will occur after they are done in school. So in the evening, when parents come back from their offices, their devices will be made available for the children to use. Even Saturday will also be part of, what learning will take, Saturday will be part of the day to use. So blended learning is a learning that involves physical class and online class. You do physical, so you have to structure the content that we take. Which of them will suit our physical? Because even now that we are doing online, we know that some areas are not adequately addressed because it's online. So now as educators, we have to go back to the drawing board and reshuffle, look at the arrangement, reorder, reorganize those topics that we need to do physical. You know, those subjects that we need to do physical, so we can bring them to those times that we are going to be staggeredly in school. And then the ones that we can undo online, we take them fully online. So blended learning has come to stay. It is going to scale. There is nothing. Listen, the best thing is for every teacher to just wake up and embrace it.
Wow.
We will never go back to where we are coming from before COVID. We won't go back there. We will never go back there.
There is no going back.
We can't go back there. If public school have also adopted and they are doing what they can in the midst of, then we won't be going back. We won't be going back.
Thank you very much, Ma. I think I have about 10 seconds to go. We're almost hitting the 60 minutes mark. I would like to thank everyone for joining us today. Tomorrow we're going to host Abimbola Durojaye. She is super